Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com, and this is The Gutters, my audio journal. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me on this episode of The Gutters. I want to start off with some general feedback that I got because I was really touched at the number of people who reached out to me after I talked about my ongoing issues with anxiety and stuff like that relating to my, I guess, mental health, if you will. Anyway, some people very graciously reached out to me, and some of whom said that they felt the same way, and so it was nice to hear that that I'm not the only person out there dealing with things like that. And anyway, I just wanted to say thank you very much to those who did reach out to me. And especially the one person who recommended a book for me to read and see if that would help as well with things. So anyway, and I also want to give a shout out to my friend of over 40 years. I don't remember how long it's been, but it's been a long time. Greg, because he really has been very supportive of me and the situation, and he really encouraged me to talk about it, open up, and also to, he checks up on me every once in a while. So he's a good guy, and I hope to eventually get him back on the show. He's been on a few times, but it's been a very long time. So anyway, thank you, Greg. You've been an awesome friend. And then I also want to thank Peter Rios from the Daily Rios and Comic Geek Speak and other things, because he sent me a wonderful list of musicals since when Maddie and I did our episode of The Gutters talking about our trip to New York last summer. This would have been summer of 2023. Or maybe it was when we were talking about musicals when we were on the Disney cruise ship. I don't remember now. Anyway, it doesn't matter because Peter did send me a wonderful list of musicals that we should watch. And so Peter, if you're listening, I've done that. I've made a list on my phone, and Maddie and I will eventually get to hopefully all of those. So, although speaking of Maddie, she's really busy right now because she started college at the University of Idaho. And so she can, really, this was an excuse for her to be in the marching band of the U of I marching band. But she's there and she's extremely busy. She's also started her first job at the same time. So I actually hardly ever see her, and it's so sad because I really like spending time with her. The other thing about Maddie that I wanted to talk about, let people know, and I made sure that she's okay with this, but I've talked about Madison, the situation with Madison before, how she came to live with us when she was I guess she was 13 months old. I think so. And she, she's been with my wife and I pretty much ever since. And we thought of her for the longest time. We thought of her as our daughter. And we decided once she turned 18, because of the various reasons, we would have done it earlier, but there were other people involved. We approached her with wanting to adopt her, make it official. We raised her. We think of her as our daughter, and we wanted to make sure, or we asked her if she wanted to, if it was okay if we did that, did she feel the same way, in other words? And she said yes. So this happened a long time ago, several months back, but Maddie is not my granddaughter anymore. Maddie is my daughter, officially, legally. Even though she was already that, in practicality, I guess, in practical terms. So anyway, that's kind of the stuff that's been going on lately. I have another thing to discuss that I wanted to get out there. my wife and I have been working at the same company together for over 26 years. And, we've been saving for retirement with through the ESOP that the company provides, and as well as 401ks and whatnot. And then some years ago, we decided to visit with a financial advisor and get some advice about, when could we retire? How, what does that look like? How much do we need? All those kind of questions that you start to have when you get to be our age. And when we talked to the financial advisor a few years ago, they're like, okay, you're on a good track. You need to pay off some stuff. You need to save some more. And if things continue as they have been with your ESOP and 401k, then, in 5-ish or so years, you could retire. It's possible. It all depends on a lot of things. And so we started working on that stuff and met with our financial advisor again this year. After we had our ESOP evaluation at work, which was really good. In fact, it was so good that our financial advisor said, yeah, you've got, you have enough funds. You can feasibly both retire. And we decided to do that at the end of this year, 2024. So I will be, starting next year, a retiree. And it's so weird to even think about it. Say it out loud like that. That's just so bizarre. In fact, I'm going to jump back a bit. When right after the meeting with our financial advisor, and I even said to him, I'm sorry, I'm going on some tangents here. I even said to him after he showed us the numbers and went through it, we had lots of questions and whatnot. But I finally looked at our financial advisor and said, "Are we stupid? Is this dumb of us to do this now?" And he starts going off about or talking about, a lot of people have problems, retiring, and you got the key to it is to be involved and fun, make sure that you're interacting with people and have hobbies and all that stuff. And in my head, I'm thinking, no, that's not the issue. The issue is, are we stupid? Are we making a stupid financial decision? And, so I eventually said that. He said, well, I mean, I can't say that for certain for you, but our projections show, our evaluation shows you're in a good spot. So, and then when I told my dad, who is a retiree and has been for over a decade, I think, is that right? How old is he? Yeah, just over a decade. How much we have in our retirement accounts, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you got plenty." I'm like, but then again, my dad's single and lives in a house that's paid off and doesn't have a whole lot of expenses. So, unlike us. So anyway, so I'm going to be retired. And that means potentially my plan is I will be able to do this, what I'm doing right now, talking to you more often, perhaps. I mean, that's, like I said, that's the plan. So hope you don't get tired of listening to me. So yeah. And, we plan on doing some traveling, my wife and I. We have a big trip coming up next year. A few trips, actually. One of which is a big family trip, Madison and my other daughter, Brittany, and her her husband, not her family. They're not taking their kids, our grandkids, which, I get, I know, but, I'd really like to have them with us. Anyway, so we got a family trip coming up, and then some other things, some concerts we're going to. I'm going to in March, the end of March. I'm going to Philadelphia for the Comic Geek Speak 20th anniversary celebration event. So there's that, and then Madison and I are planning on going to Charlotte for Heroes Con. And then after that, I'm not entirely certain what we're doing. I think we're doing a lot of stuff from January. No, not January. February. Yeah, basically February through June. We've got a bunch of things that we're doing. And then I don't know what we're doing the next part of it. Well, no, I could tell you this. We are thinking of moving. So I think that's the back half of 2025 will be us finding another place to live. So we're gonna be house hunting, I think, or condo hunting. I don't know that's what retirees do, right? They get a condo. I don't know, but yeah. So there's that. Besides podcasting, I made a list. This goes back to the thing with the financial advisor, because I don't have a problem with keeping myself busy. I've got plenty of things. I've got a bajillion comic books to read for one, a bunch of other things to read for two. All of my streaming services watch lists to get to. So there's I'm not gonna have a problem filling my day. So, but yeah, I plan on, I've never learned to play a musical instrument. I want to do that. I want to get back to writing and drawing and painting and, photography. I bought a nice digital camera years ago, and I haven't really done anything with it that I planned on doing. It's just like, it's all these things that I planned to do when I had time. And now I presumably will have the time. So I am very much looking forward to discovering this new chapter in my life, in our lives, my wife and I. We have been, ever since I've been with Kitra, even before we got married, because she had a child before she and I got together. So we've always had a kid or kids to take care of. There's never been a time in our entire 30-something year marriage that we didn't have kids. And I'm not saying that we didn't want kids or anything, because it's been great having. We've raised two sets of kids, and I would never trade that for anything, except maybe Action Comics #1. No, I'm just kidding. But we've never really had time for ourselves to do much of anything. It was always centered around children and what the kids would want to do and whatnot. So I think we're going to enter together an interesting time in our lives and rediscover who we are as individuals, and also rediscover who we are as a couple, and navigate those unknown waters together. But I'm very much looking forward to it. My wife is my best friend. Even though I joke with her that it's my dog, but, and, she's helped me, going back to the whole anxiety thing, I couldn't have made it through the last couple of years without her support. And, so yeah, she's a wonderful woman, and I am lucky to have her. So yeah. So, if you are retirees out there, I actually follow on social media a few accounts that I know they're retired, because they've said that on their account. So I might have to reach out to them and pick their brains to see how they navigate these waters. But anyway, enough talk about navigating waters like I'm some boat captain or something. Okay. That's my big news. With Maddie and retirement, that's a lot going on in the family. The only other thing that I planned on talking about in this episode, looks like it's going to be a short one, because I watched, my usual thing is I talk about stuff that's going on with me. We did a bunch of things, but I didn't feel like talking about them for some reason. Not anything in depth. We went to a few concerts. Went to a Hootie and the Blowfish concert, which was awesome. I really like that one. We went to the Scottish Highland Games in or near Seattle. That was a lot of fun. We did those things. So there's a bunch of other things we did, but they're, onesie twosie. We spent some time with the family, my daughter's family. Watched a bunch of movies, but I just didn't feel like talking about them in depth. But I did enjoy Godzilla -1. I've watched Crisis on Infinite Earths, parts 1 and 2. Those were, at first I didn't like them, but as the second one went on, I was like, oh, I kind of like what they're doing with this, even if it is, I don't know. I've never liked this latest animated universe, DC animated universe. But I was enjoying it a little bit more. Aquaman 2, not good. Anyway, TV, new Doctor Who, the latest Doctor Who. Can't remember if I talked about that or not. Now I'm just rambling. But anyway, what I can talk about though, some podcast stuff. So I mentioned the Comic Geek Speak 20th anniversary. So in case you don't know, if you live under a podcast rock, the original geeks are back on CGS for the most part, and they're working their way towards their 20th anniversary in March, like I said. And I think the goal is for them to get to at least episode 2000 for their 20th anniversary. So it's been great fun listening to them. Peter, Brian, Pants, Shane. Oh God, am I missing somebody? I hope not. Sorry. They're back with other people at times, other guests and whatnot, but been covering a bunch of different topics, which has been delightful. Not that the previous set of hosts were doing anything wrong or bad or anything. It's just, they got, I think the show got a little staid, and they need to liven some things up a bit. And so I'm very pleased to see an episode in my feed now and discover what they're going to talk about. So that's nice. Another show, a newish show that I've been listening to or have listened to, is Department of Midnight, which is a show written by Warren Ellis and stars James Callis, who played Baltar on the reimagined Battlestar Galactica show. And if you've read things like Planetary or Injection by Warren Ellis, this fits right in with that. It's, like the science, the super science, the bizarre science type stuff that he tends to like to write about. That's what this is about. It's like dark matter is information type, the premise, and things that are related to an experiment that went wrong with the character that Callis plays, and the aftermath of that. So that he's trying to help with and clean up. So I quite enjoyed it. It's drama, fictional drama, but and it's usually just Callis and one other guest, because they wanted to keep things cheap, but it doesn't sound cheap. It sounds really cool. Anyway, I quite enjoyed it. So check it out if that sounds interesting to you. And then finally, I was on an episode of Meanwhile the Podcast recently as of October 21st, as I record this, 2024, where we meaning me, George, Rich, and Damien, talked about our top 5 scripted television shows. So if you were curious about that, the bunch of us, what our favorite shows were, and there were some interesting shows that were discussed, I think, and surprises along the way. So I quite enjoyed being part of that. It's always nice being the guest on somebody else's show because I don't have to talk as much. And prepare. I don't have to prepare as much. Although, as I told George and the others on that episode, when George wanted to do this, I decided that because of my poor memory and the bias I have towards the things of my youth versus what I'm watching now, so there's a whole lot of other things in that in-between area that I could miss. So I went to Wikipedia and looked up all of the American television programs for every year, every new show that came out or debuted during that year, and just quickly went through the lists to see if there were any TV shows that I might be overlooking, inadvertently overlooking, and there were a few. So, and I think one or two of them may have even made my list. So I quite enjoyed that. I'll have a link in the show notes, I'm sure. And then there's also, at the time of this recording, there is an upcoming episode where I was a guest on Mike's Comic Shop Roadshow with Mike, and we talk about, well, I don't know if I should say, it's supposed to be a sort of a secret until it's released. But we talked about a British-related event, I guess. Anyway, I loved preparing for that episode. There was so much cool things to talk about regarding this comic book. And, just talking to Mike is always a delight. So look for that in Mike's feed. I'll also post, when that comes out, I'll post that on longboxreview.com for people to check that out if they'd like. And then finally, I want to say, since it is, like I said, October 21st, we are just days away, a couple weeks away from our general election in the United States. And while at first I was really angry over the abandonment of Joe Biden by the party, what came next, I was very excited about. And I will very happily vote for the Harris Waltz ticket in the upcoming presidential election over that odious lump of, I know I'm lowering myself to name calling, but I can't stand that guy. He should never have been president in the first place. He sure as hell shouldn't be president again. Should have been disqualified for many reasons, and yet here we are. I don't understand why anybody would support that guy or anything that the Republican Party is espousing these days. There was a time in my adult life where I would consider the Republican candidate. Well, I would consider whoever the best candidate was, whether it was a Democrat or a Republican or an independent for that matter. As time has gone on, especially in the last 20 years, I have not voted for a Republican in a very long time because I cannot stand their viewpoint on things. And I can't stand how they are exclusionary and racist and prejudiced. And I just don't understand it. I have family members who are conservative and vote Republican and voted for Trump. And I look at them and I love these people. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you that you would support this? I just don't understand. I would love to have a conversation that isn't, just name calling. I know I appear to be two-faced here, right? But I generally would actually like to understand why someone like Trump appeals to you, especially people who are into the arts, because I know they exist. I've seen the posts on social media, but oh my gosh. I would like to understand why someone would vote for those kind of things. Is it a one issue thing, like abortion? I can kind of get that. If you are vehemently opposed to to abortion, then you would vote, I guess, for the Republican candidate. But to me, women's right to choose is much more important. That's just how I see it. So I guess all that rambling again is to say, go vote, participate, be a responsible citizen, and go vote. And I shouldn't say this, but be a good human being and vote blue. vote for the Democrats up and down the ballot, because the way that the Republican Party is heading is not a good place. I don't think it's exaggerating to say that they're leaning fascist, and they want a world that I don't want to live in. And I have just as much right to be here as anybody else. So, I don't know. I guess I'm done, because I'm just going to start repeating myself, and I hate when I do that. So with that, if you've lasted this long, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you happen to have feedback, or you want to just rant at me or yell at me, I don't care. I mean, I'll just ignore it if you all you're going to do is yell at me. But if you want to have a conversation, that's different. But you can always do so by emailing me at longboxreview@gmail.com. You can send me voicemail or leave texts, or text me, I should say, at 208-953-1841. I'm also on the social media at Longbox Review. And with that, I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.